The rain came down in a steady rhythm, drumming against the sleek black Mercedes as it rolled quietly through the empty streets. The headlights cut through the misty night, illuminating the familiar curve of the driveway that led up to a mansion sitting on a hill, vast, silent, and cold. Inside the car sat Daniel Reeves, a 39-year-old millionaire with tired eyes and a heart that had long forgotten what warmth felt like. He was coming home early for the first time in months. He didn't plan it. He didn't even tell anyone. He just couldn't take it anymore. The late nights in boardrooms, the meaningless praise, the sterile hotel rooms filled with empty success. He wanted to see his son. He wanted to feel human again. As Daniel stepped out into the drizzle, a strange unease crept up his spine. The mansion was glowing softly from within. Laughter, faint but real, drifted through the air. That was odd. He hadn't heard laughter in this house since his wife Maya died 3 years ago. Before we continue, take a second to support Kindness Universe. Hit that like button, drop a comment about what you do in Daniel's place, and don't forget to subscribe for more emotional, heart-touching stories like this one. Daniel froze at the sound. Laughter, a child's laughter, his son's. But someone else's voice echoed with it, softer, older. A woman's voice. He quietly unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The scent of fresh cookies and cinnamon filled the air. His home, usually silent and lifeless, was alive. He followed the sound down the hallway, heart pounding, until he reached the kitchen doorway. And there he saw it, his 9-year-old son Ethan standing on a stool covered in flour, laughing uncontrollably as a woman in her mid-30s playfully smeared frosting on his nose. She had long brown hair tied in a loose ponytail, a simple cardigan hanging off her shoulder, and tired yet kind eyes that glowed with something Daniel hadn't seen in a long time. Warmth. For a moment, Daniel just stood there, unable to breathe. The woman was Leela, their housekeeper. She had worked for him quietly, always respectful, never overstepping her boundaries. He rarely even noticed her. Too busy, too buried in work, too blind. But now, seeing her there, laughing with Ethan, filling the house with life, something inside him cracked. Ethan spotted him first. "Dad," he shouted, jumping off the stool and running straight into Daniel's arms. His small body hit Daniel's chest with such force that it nearly knocked the wind out of him. He hugged him tightly, his voice muffled. "You're home early." Daniel's arms trembled as he hugged his son back. "Yeah, buddy," he whispered, his throat tight. "I missed you." When he looked up, Leela stood frozen, embarrassment flooding her face. "Mr. Reeves, I'm sorry, I didn't expect you back tonight." Ethan wanted to bake cookies but Daniel raised his hand slightly. "It's fine," he said softly. His voice, usually cold and commanding, had a strange gentleness to it. "You two were having fun." Leela smiled awkwardly, brushing flour from her hands. "He said it was his mom's recipe," she murmured. Daniel felt his heart stop. He turned to his son. "You remember that?" Ethan nodded, his eyes bright. "Lila helped me find it in Mom's old notebook. We were going to surprise you tomorrow." For the first time in years, Daniel felt tears sting his eyes. The next morning, the house didn't feel so empty anymore. Daniel woke to the smell of breakfast, pancakes, scrambled eggs, and laughter. Ethan sat at the table, proudly wearing an apron, while Leela helped him flip pancakes. Daniel sat down watching them, unsure of what to say. He'd spent so long working to build an empire, chasing every success imaginable, yet he couldn't remember the last time someone had cooked for him, or the last time he'd smiled without forcing it. "Would you like coffee, sir?" Leela asked politely. He hesitated. "Please call me Daniel," he said quietly. Leela blinked, surprised. "All right, Daniel." Something about the way she said his name made his chest ache. Over the next few weeks, Daniel began to change. He started spending evenings at home instead of in the office. He'd sit on the couch, helping Ethan with homework while Leela prepared dinner. The three of them would sometimes watch old movies together, and Daniel noticed how often Ethan's laughter came now, pure, unfiltered, alive. But more than that, Daniel began to see Leela, really see her. How she would hum softly while cleaning, how her hands were rough from years of work, yet always gentle. How she looked at Ethan as if he were her own. One night, after putting Ethan to bed, Daniel found her outside on the porch, staring at the city lights below. "You've done a lot for him," Daniel said quietly, stepping beside her. Leela shook her head. "He's done a lot for me too." Daniel tilted his head. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. When I lost my husband, I thought I'd never find purpose again. Your son reminded me what kindness looks like, what family feels like. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to tell her that she'd done the same for him, that she'd breathed life into a home that had been nothing but walls and silence. But before he could speak, she looked at him with a soft smile and said, "You should rest, Daniel. He needs you rested, not buried in work." That night Daniel lay awake staring at the ceiling, realizing how much he'd missed, how much he'd traded away for wealth that couldn't hold him at night, couldn't laugh, couldn't love. Weeks turned into months. Daniel found himself laughing more, cooking with Ethan, helping Leela fix things around the house. He wasn't sure what was happening, but every time he looked at her, his heart did something strange, something he thought it had forgotten how to do. Then one evening, everything changed again. Daniel came home from a late charity event. His tie loosened, exhaustion written all over his face. The mansion was dark, except for a small light in the kitchen. He walked in and froze. Leela sat there, crying quietly at the table. A crumpled piece of paper lay beside her, a termination notice. He rushed forward. "What's this?" She looked up, startled, quickly wiping her tears. "I was going to tell you tomorrow. I've been offered a position in another city. Better pay, stable hours. I need to think about my future, Daniel." Daniel's chest felt like it was collapsing. "You can't just leave. Ethan." She looked away. "He'll be fine. He has you. He has you too," Daniel said, his voice breaking. "You're part of this family now, Leela." Tears filled her eyes again. "No, Daniel, I work for you. That's all this is." He stepped closer, his heart in his throat. "No," he whispered. "That's not all this is." For a long, trembling silence, they just stood there, two broken souls who had somehow found healing in each other's presence. But she shook her head. "I need time," she said softly. "Please understand." And then she left. The following days were agony. Ethan cried for hours, refusing to eat the first morning after she was gone. Daniel tried to comfort him, but the house felt hollow again, lifeless, cold, until one morning, Ethan came running into Daniel's room, clutching something in his hand.
"Look!"
he said, holding up a drawing. It was a crayon sketch of him, Daniel, and Leela, all holding hands, smiling under a big yellow sun. Above them, in messy handwriting, Ethan had written, "Family." Daniel felt something inside him break open. He knew what he had to do. He drove for hours that afternoon, rain pouring down again, just like that first night. When he reached the small apartment where Leela now stayed, he knocked on the door, drenched and desperate. When she opened it, she gasped. "Daniel, what are you doing here?" He looked at her, tears mixing with the rain. "I'm sorry I was blind for so long. You didn't just fix my house, Leela. You fixed me. You brought my son back to life, and I can't lose that. I can't lose you." Leela's eyes filled with tears. "Daniel." He took her hands. "Please, come home. Not as my employee, as part of our family." For a long moment, neither of them spoke, just the sound of rain and hearts finally opening after years of silence. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Okay," she whispered. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Your support helps spread these messages of love, redemption, and humanity to more hearts around the world. Months later, the Reeves mansion was alive again. The sound of laughter echoed through the halls. The smell of baking cookies filled the air, and Daniel, once a lonely millionaire, had finally found what money could never buy: love, family, and peace. On the porch one evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, Daniel held Lila's hand while Ethan played in the yard. He looked at her and smiled. "You know, coming home early was the best decision I ever made." She smiled back, tears glistening in her eyes. "Sometimes, Daniel, the things we're searching for have been waiting for us all along, right where we left them." And in that moment, surrounded by laughter, warmth, and love, Daniel finally understood true wealth isn't what fills your bank account. It's what fills your heart.